My name's Eric Drips. I've been in the nutritional supplements industry for 25 years. This is the third plant that I've personally designed and commissioned, but I've been in a lot of plants all over the world, and so I've taken all the best little parts and pieces of that experience and tried to build the best infrastructure we can here, not just for now, but also to be very scalable for the future. The first thing we do when a raw material arrives, we send a QC inspector in there to inspect the condition of the truck, and there's a checklist they go through. If it clears that hurdle, it gets offloaded, and of course when stuff is transported, it's done on wood pallets. The first step in our process is to take them off those wood pallets and put them on these NSF pallets, easy to clean. And the reason for that is those pallets can come from anywhere in the country or the world. They're going to use sterile components to sample the materials. Generally, we use a square root of n+1 sampling protocol, which means the number of containers that represent one lot of raw material. Figure out the square root, add one, and test all those containers, so you're not just testing one container of a full lot, making a composite sample, submitting it to our quality group, who then works with our qualified third-party labs. Once the results have all been obtained, that's at the point in time where manufacturing is allowed to use it. The virtual batch record, and the way that it's designed, you can't move to the next step in the process until that has been tick and tied. So you essentially get 100% compliance to your process and your batch record every time. By the time we get all the way to the end of the process, we've got this electronic batch record that can be printed out and put into our data warehouse and ready for the FDA to see it. So we can see every step that happened in the process, and if there were any deviations from our normal process, what we did about it, how we did it, and all of that. That's very unique to us. This facility will keep us long into the future. The next place that we're going to go is what we call the pharmacy. This is where they are just taking the materials that we pulled out of the warehouse, weighing them out to the individual quantities needed for the batch, and then placed into kit to go to blending. Another cool piece of our technology is that SAP system I keep referring to will not let them weigh more or less. The scale is actually integrated right into the SAP system, which is tied to the formula that's in the system and validated. Another feature that you will not see in most plants is our air control system. If you put your hand here, you'll feel just the slightest little breeze. It's forcing any dust that is getting created in there. It's going to push it out into this common area. And all the rooms are that way, so you're always pushing things out into the common area that gets cleaned regularly. You're never sucking anything in from out here into that room. The tack mats, as you probably noticed as we came out of the gowning room, those are so that, because as we're walking out here, I mentioned that dust blows out into this common area. When the employee gowns up and gets ready to go into our blending department, they'll step on that and that'll remove any dust from their feet, or the majority of the dust from their feet. Now this room is the next step in the process, which is the blending room. This is a really cool piece of equipment. It's called an intermediate bulk container blender. If you've ever been in big companies, you'll see that they often will blend their products in these containers and then stage that above their tablet press, so their encapsulation machine, and feed right in. We just use it for blending product, and then we dump out of these containers into these drums that you see behind you, which are treated like a piece of equipment as well, and washed and cleaned and all of that. The reason I mention that is because there's a lot of scalability. Instead of having 10 blenders with all different capabilities of batch size, you can see that we've got a very small container in there. That's an 800 liter container, but you can see its big brother right here, 2400 liter. So we can accommodate any batch size, big or small, and not have to have a fixed piece of equipment for that batch size. We just use these different sizes of these containers, but the same base equipment, which is what they call the top hat. So the next area I'm going to take you is to where we actually make the capsules. The window sills, you'll notice they're at an angle. That's so that an employee can't set their pen there and have it fall into product, or put anything there on a flat surface. It doesn't collect dust. If you look up, all the lights have a TP on it, made out of stainless steel, just like that, so that it doesn't sit on a flat surface. Dust doesn't stay up there. And then in our preventative maintenance program, twice a year, we close down the facility for the weekend. We get up there, and any dust that has found its way up there gets knocked down and cleaned, and then the whole facility redone. So I'm going to take you into the next corridor, which is our encapsulation department. It's going to have that same airflow technology that I showed you before, but it's going to have 2 layers of it. It's going to have, each room has it with about 10 pascals going out into the common corridor, and then the whole hallway is going to have another cascade of a little less than that. So again, we're pushing everything out of the room into the hallway, and then out of the hallway into this area, and then we have what looks like a Zamboni machine that comes along and cleans any dust that's made from that. And even this, you don't have to touch it. You just wave it to open up this door. The reason for that, as soon as an employee touches that, they've got to put new gloves on. On this side of the hallway are what we call high-speed encapsulation machines. Bosch is a name you're probably familiar with if you've seen dishwashers or things like that. They are the state-of-the-art equipment for making capsules on a high-speed piece of machinery. We buy the empty capsules. They're vegetarian, cellulose-based capsules. The only thing in it is HPMC and water, so it doesn't have any sodium lauryl sulfate or any of that other vegetarian capsules might have in it. And what this machine is doing is indexing those empty capsules into a segment at a very high rate of speed, and then moving it under this right column, which is where the powder is. It's separating the upper half of the capsule from the bottom half, filling the bottom half, and then bringing it back together and kicking it out where you see the plastic wrapped over here, and then it's putting it through a polisher that's getting all the dust off of it. So I covered automatic encapsulation. This side is semi-automatic encapsulation. This machine requires a little more hands-on for the operator. And the reason that there's a difference between the two is a very small batch size. Those machines take a long time to change over from one size to the other. But you can see here that this is a 90,000 dose batch. Sounds big, but we run 1 million and 2 million dose batches on the big guys. Thankfully for us, our biggest volume products are our probiotic products that aren't sticky or difficult to manufacture. So it allows us to make them, virtually excipient free at a high rate of speed on high-speed equipment. We also have a great core group of production people. This is a very technical job, believe it or not, running this equipment. They don't need to know how to set it up. They're part mechanic and part operator. So it's a very technical job. As you can see in there, he's wrenching on it right now to get it up and running and to get it ready to run some magnesium. And so he's got to be able to know how to get all those tolerances just right so that machine hums like a Cadillac once he gets it up and running. Now we're going to go show you how we put that into bottles. On the way, I'm going to take you to our fridge and get you cold for a minute, but show you that, because it's a pretty cool place. No pun intended. 3,500 square feet, broken into 3 sections. Raw materials at one end, semi-finished goods in the middle, and the finished goods on the other end, conveniently located near where we actually do the picking for our shipping. If we were faced with that circumstance of a power outage on the local power grid, we can keep this thing going. We have 4 compressors that you can see running, but this fridge only needs 2 to hold temperature. Temperature is usually kept between 34 and 37 degrees, which is the sweet spot for probiotics. These are our 3 high-speed packaging lines. They're all equipped pretty much the same way. You can see that they all have a touchscreen computer there. That's that virtual batch record I was mentioning. Every 15 minutes they're looking at the quality of the product they're making. And behind you what you're seeing is the picking and packing. So this group of employees is in the process of getting ready to run a product. This is a fully functional packaging line like what I've showed you out there, but the big difference is the powder filler instead of a solid dose counter. The basic steps of the process are the first thing it's going to do is fill the bottle and then run the bottle through the metal detector, and then the next step in the process is going to receive a cap. The cap itself has the foil liner built into it, and that's the part that you tear off of the tamper evidence that you tear off, and that's built into the lid itself. And then it goes through what they call an induction sealer, which interacts with that foil and seals it to the top of the jar. Then it's going to go and get a label on it. It's going to get the label might get an inkjet on it, or the bottom of the bottle will get the inkjet on it. Then it'll get a full body sleeve, run through a tunnel that shrinks the sleeve onto it, and then at the end you have a finished bottle. So fully automated. This is the private label area. When you place an order for the private label, we design the label, we print the label, and then it comes into this room, and that's where they'll marry up that unlabeled bright stock with whatever the label may be. After we go back and we degown and take everything off, I'd like to show you kind of the comfortable place we made for our employees to enjoy their lunch and things. That's very important. That our employees are very important to us, so I want to show you that cool room that we have for that.